Hey everybody, I'm Den Haring. Welcome back to the channel, Fish Den 365, and welcome back to Topwater Tuesday! Is that cheering just in my head? Yeah, never mind. Alright, today we have a secret bait to show you. This is a custom bait. I've got 4 different ones here. Let me just give you a little taste of what we're going to be looking at. Check these guys out. Okay, so the story goes like this. A couple months ago, I started on eBay and I was just looking around for different baits. And then I thought, well, I'll go to Etsy. Maybe I'll find some better pricing or some different things there. And I started searching on lures on Etsy, and I came across these baits for sale. They're called Marshall's Minnows. The gentleman by the name of Marshall makes these custom-made baits, and they're called Marshall's Minnows. Take a look at the finishes on these things. This is a perch. Beautiful orange underneath there. Here's a bluegill pattern. This one's called Sassy Shad. It's got like that little pinkish in there, blue top. These are beautiful paint jobs. And this one's called Black Shad. I really like this one too. It's got that dark back with a little bit of a chartreuse line down the side, white belly. Man, I mean, these paint jobs, and then he's got like 3 dozen different paint schemes that you can get, and every one of them looks really good. I mean, they're just amazing paint jobs. And when I saw these baits, I thought, well, you know, I gotta try it. I think he had a video on Etsy that you can watch where he was like walking the dog with one of the baits. Looked pretty good. The bait is not very large. I'm going to say it's about 3.5 inches. I haven't measured it, but it's not a large bait at all. Here you can see I don't have the biggest hands in the world, and you can see it's pretty small. And so, but I think it would be a perfect bait for fishing for bass, especially smallmouths, because of the way you work the bait. And in a few minutes, we're going to take it out in the field and show you how it works. But I just wanted to mention that, you know, these baits, that the paint jobs are so good that I just had to have some. They're $10 a piece, or at least they were when I purchased them. And I think if I remember right, I bought 4 because if you had $40, shipping was free. So I thought, boy, with all these color selections, I'll pick 4 different colors, pay the $40, get the free shipping, get these baits, test them out, and bring them to you and show you what I think. And I have to tell you, so far, what I've seen here, I like. Now let's take it to the water and see how they perform there. Alright, we're in my local pond. Let's check out this one. We got 4 of these to test. And like we said, now these are custom baits. And so one of the things I'm always interested in these, especially custom baits, is how they work compared to each other. Because when they're custom baits, it's more likely that there'll be differences in how they work. So we'll see in a few minutes just how these things perform in the water. Let's get this thing in there, see how it sits and how it sinks. It's going to slowly sink, I believe. Here, let's see. So it's got a slow sinking, slightly nose down, very natural look to it. Very natural look. And I'm curious about, you know, obviously we'll be able to walk a dog with this, but I'm also wondering if it'll swim like a glide bait. So let's see. It is not swimming like a glide bait until you get the thing. Yeah, this one's not. So that's one thing right there. There's no glide bait action. Let's let it down in the water a little bit. Maybe we'll get something out of it that way when we reel it in. Now it just comes straight back. Certain speed it wants to start turning. So this is definitely going to be one that you have to walk the dog with because it don't have the glide bait action. But watch this. It walks very nicely. And I like the fact that it's walking just subsurface, and if you stop it, it has that kind of like dying bait fish, and this one really shows its perch colors when you're walking it. You're going to catch fish. They're the right size, perfect for smallmouth bass. They're quiet too. They're not going to be. They'll be good when there's You know, when the fish are a bit shy, when the water's calmer, there's no rattles in these. They're made of wood, so the only noise you'll hear is the hooks shaking. No rattles. But look at that beautiful paint job. You can't get much better than that as far as the paint job goes. So it's got that slow sink rate. I imagine they're all going to sink at that slow rate like that. If for some reason you wanted to slow it at a more even pace, you can put a bigger hook in the back. But I kind of like that slightly nose down attitude. I think that's good. The bait casts just fine. You can keep it up on the surface. This one's fouled. But you could also let it go under and use that jerkbait retrieve. Oops. There, I just made it pop out of the water like so many fish do. Nice natural, that's that wood, you know, you have that little more liveliness with the wood in the bait. Let's get it out there a little further, show you what this thing can do on the surface. Yeah, it walks the dog very easily. And the paint jobs, like we said, paint job and the size of the bait make it nice. You can get it up and jump it out of the surface easily, but you can also keep it just a little subsurface, and that's not bad either. It walks just as good underwater, as you can see, as it does on the top. It does want to come up, and that's okay. Nice bait. All right, let's see how the others work in comparison. So we'll put this one down. Can't get him out of the box. Go with this rainbow shad pattern here. Let's take a look at this guy. Look at the color on that one. Isn't that beautiful? Alright, so this is gonna see how this one, see if the first thing is to see if the sink rate is the same. So let's take a look. Yep, the sink rate is the same. This one actually wobbles just slightly as it's sinking. I did not notice that with the other one. I like that wobble. Look and see how it's wobbling. It's head down. Oh yeah. This one works a little differently. Only that it sinks at the same rate. It sinks at the same attitude, but this one wobbles. Look at that wobble. That other one, I don't think it wobbled. I think it just went straight down. We'll double check that. In fact, we're going to check that right now. This is the kind of thing that you'll notice when you're messing around with custom baits. And it's not necessarily a bad thing, because sometimes you'll get one that's just special and it does things others do not. And those are the ones that oftentimes really catch fish. So let's see what happens with this one now. No wobble on this. See how it goes back and forth. It does this a little bit, but no wobble when it's falling like that one you just saw. It just goes down. So very interesting. This is the, you know, now I may be able to get this to wobble by making some adjustments to it, but it's good the way it is. I mean, I wouldn't fish it that way. But this one that wobbles, I can see myself fishing this slowly under the water and then stopping it and letting it do that little death wobble. Wobbles like a Senko. Look at that. That's really cool. I hope you can see that down there. It's just wobbling all the way to the bottom. All right, now let's see what happens with this one when we cast it. Let's see if we can retrieve this one straight and see if it works. No, so again, it's dead. It doesn't do anything on a retrieve, on a straight. In other words, it doesn't work like a glide bait, like a blue striper. But again, you're going to see that it walks the dog very easily. Here we go. So you can probably see that under the water walking the dog. This one tends to stay down a little bit more than that last one. But boy, it has a really nice, lively action. And then when you stop it, you get that wobble. That is nice. I like that one a lot. I like that wobble. Let that thing wobble down. We'll fish a little under the water. I wobble. Wobble, wobble, wobble. Yeah, that's nice. That's a good one. All right. Let's try the other two. We've got 2 more to go. Let me fish this perch pattern here. Put that guy down. Take this one off. Got another one here. This is more of a bluegill pattern. I mean, this Marshall's baits, he does fantastic with the paint jobs. Some of the best I've seen. Really, really good. Okay, let's see what this one does on the fall. Oh, this one even wobbles more than the last one. Look at that. Wow, this looks like a hurt bluegill. Look at this thing in the water. Look at that wobble. So that is like a Senko there. Man. Alright, now we'll see if this one has anything on a straight retrieve. Still looking for that glide bait action on a straight retrieve. You just never know. Every bait is going to be a little different. This one wants to do that more. Let me let it sink a little bit and then reel it. It wants to, but not quite. But again, it'll walk very nicely. Watch this. So this one's walking very nicely under the water, you can see, and it's unpredictable in how it walks. It turns on its side sometimes. I like that. I think that just enhances. You can, a little bit faster, and you can keep this up on the surface. Really make it look like it's hurt. Really panicking, right? That's gonna catch fish. I mean, that's just gonna kill them. When there's a topwater bite and they don't want the rattles, this thing's gonna kill them. I can make it jump. Look at that. Look at it splash. Just let it sit, wobble down, bring it back up again. Yeah, I'm gonna be buying more of these, and I'm gonna be using these. These are really nice. And I love that wobble down. All right, so that's number 3. Let's go for number 4. I think number 4 is a shad pattern, if I remember right. Let's see. We'll get this guy off here. Let him dry out a little bit. Yeah, we got a nice shad guy coming up here. He's stuck in the box. There we go. We got him. Look at that. This is a nice, like a lavender shad color. It's got that beautiful back on it. It's got the dark top, white belly, and just that little hint of chartreuse on the sides. Beautiful shad bait, colored bait here. This one, and it's the right size. A lot of the alewives and shad that are in the waters that I fish, a lot of the waters are small like this. They're this size. Wallenpaupack, Beltsville, quite a few other places. So I can see this not only catching. Oh, look at a turtle out there. I don't want to catch a turtle. This warm sun here, we're early March. I think it's actually, the first was Friday, so today's the 3rd. And it was cold yesterday, but this sun is heating things up. It's going to go to 63 out here today. You can see the turtles are starting to come out. Probably the first he's been out in the winter. He's swimming awful slow, but he's out there. All right, let's take a look at how this one sinks. This one also has the wobble like the second one. Not quite as well. No, it's a pretty good one. Almost like the third one. Pretty good. Nice little wobble on this as it sinks. This one also seems to be sinking more flat. Notice it's not as much head down. This one is more flatter on the surface. Interesting. Very interesting with the way this one's actually sinking a little different. It's not nose down as much as the first one and second one was, but it's got that wonderful wobble to it, that Senko-like wobble. Let's see how this one performs. We'll see if we can reel it in just like the others and see if we get that glide action out of it. I'm gonna let it go down a little bit so we can reel it. It wants to glide, but it just kind of like, it wants to glide, but it won't. I have 8-pound test 8-pound test fluoro on this right now. Now I could make it work just by using the reel. You can see it working there. Let me see if that does anything different. I didn't try that with the others. So now I'm just kind of working the reel, and I can almost make it do that glide without using the rod tip, but working the reel. Yeah, that's nice. So that's another method, another retrieve that I'll have to remember with this, because it's a little more subtle than walking the dog by using rod twitch. I'm just twitching the reel and stopping, and you can see this bait is reacting very nicely. I like when it turns on its side and shows that white like that. That's a big attractor for fish. All right, now let's see if we can get it out there and walk the dog with it the normal way, twitching the rod. So you can see that thing working like crazy out there. We're working at a pretty fast pace. I didn't start twitching right away, so it's staying under the water. So some are meant to come up more, some stay under. Now this one stays down, probably because it's not falling tail down, nose up. So it wants to stay under the water more. So I'll have to remember that. Again, these are custom baits there. They're gonna act a little differently. You gotta test them. But each one has its own pros and cons. This one would be perfect for if I wanted it under the water, like, you know, on an April day and I'm trying to fish under docks or something. This one's gonna stay under better. That first one, that fell with an attitude like this, and when you would lift up on it, it wants to come up right away and it wants to get on the surface. This one tends to want to stay down. Now I'm going to try and keep it on the surface. As soon as I land it, we'll do the walk the dog and we'll see how that is. So this one you can stay on the surface as well, but it really wants to stay down under the water. But boy, they're all nice. They all work very well. The custom paint jobs are excellent. I like that wobble as it's going down. Just so many nice things about the bait that I can't wait to experiment with these on the water and see how they do. You know, with everybody throwing these big glide baits, you know, this is one of the things in fishing. And these big glide baits, don't get me wrong, they're catching a lot of fish and they're finding a lot of fish for people. But oftentimes when everyone is zigging, that's when it's time to zag. And so throwing a littler bait like this, that still has that kind of action under the water, can be a trigger for these fish that are seeing a lot more of these bigger baits. So something to keep in mind. This one really works well under the water. Look at that. Very nice action, but you can also keep it up, really make it work, make it jump out of the water. Reminds me a lot of another very good lure, the Bagley finger mullet, in that it's wood, it has no rattles, and it tends to jump out of the water nicely when you fish it properly. Well, that's it. Let's take it back to the lab and talk about this a little more and close this thing out.
All right, we're back in the lab, and I have to tell you, I'm impressed with how they work. I was hoping that they might work like a blue striper, that they might have that glide bait action to them when you reel them in the water steadily. They don't do that. They're not meant for that, and that's okay. Because if you twitch your rod, or even if you just move your reel handle in sharp, jerky motions like this, you saw how you can make these things dance. And anytime you have a custom bait, you want to make sure that if you buy a number of them that they're similar in how they work. Because custom baits, it's really hard to get that uniformity, that everything looks the same between one bait and the other. Because they're custom baits. They're not made in a mold. Someone has to work on these things and get them just right. And so you saw there were some differences in how the baits fell in the water. But all of them were good, and all of them had their own place, I thought, too. Like the first one we showed was this perch. It tended to stay on the surface a lot easier than the others. So I would use this as a surface lure entirely. And because it didn't have the fall where it wobbled, like the other three did, I just use this as a surface lure. And this is why I like to get more than one. But those other baits, the other three, all of them did this. They wobbled like this when they went down, when they would slowly sink. And it was a very slow sink rate. I liked everything about that wobble because I think that looks like an injured or sick fish. You can work that bait, couple twitches, stop, and it wobbles down. I can't wait to experiment with them on the water and show you what they can do out there. And we'll have some videos probably as early as April, I hope, to show what these things can do, especially for smallmouths, because I know I'm going to be able to catch some nice smallmouth bass on these. And I'm looking forward to throwing them up at Lake Wallenpaupack and a number of other lakes that I like to fish. And there's no reason to think they won't catch striped bass and everything else as well. Largemouths, everything else that we like to fish for. These things are going to work for those as well. And on one of the videos that Marshall does, he's catching a number of walleye on the bait. So, and just by fishing it the way I described, twitch, twitch, let it sink, let it go down. Twitch, 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 let it go down. He caught some nice walleye doing that. So hopefully we can pick up some of those fish as well with these baits. We'll see how it goes. So for rods and reels with this, again, you're going to want to use a topwater twitching rod. Topwater or jerkbait type of twitching rod, because you're going to be twitching these baits. You can use your reel, but twitching the rod makes it more responsive. The bait will respond better and stronger with rod twitches, so you can really make it dance in the water. And you can work these things fast, slow, in between. You just have to let the fish tell you how they want it. When I was working these in that pond, I was throwing them on 20-pound braid was my main line, and I had 8-pound fluorocarbon from it was Cigar Invisex fluorocarbon 8-pound test leader, a couple rod lengths of that 8-pound test leader. The smaller diameter of leader that you use with this bait, the more action you're going to get out of it. But they're still going to have plenty of action with 10, 12, even all the way up to 17-pound test. I'm sure they would work just fine. And if you want to keep them on the surface, that heavier line, say 17-pound test monofilament that floats, that would help keep it up if you wanted to keep it up. So we're talking Topwater Tuesday, so that's something you may want to consider. But these baits can be just as good just under the surface and then even down deeper still when you use that wobble technique. Like I said, I can't wait to fish them. Let me know what you think. Give me a comment if you're familiar with these baits, if you've ever fished Marshall's Minnows. He's from Minnesota, and this is where he makes these baits. Not sure how many he's sold over the years, but he's been around for a while, and his paint jobs are just unbelievably nice. The baits are good and uniform in their shape, and you saw how they worked in the water. Every one of them had their unique little nuances, but I liked every one of them. And I think I could catch fish on every one, and I hope to show you that sometime in the near future. If you liked the video, give me the thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so. Hey, if you've been watching some of the videos and you like them and you're getting something out of it, consider subscribing. It really helps me get these out to more people, which is what I'm trying to do, grow the channel. And if you do subscribe, you may want to hit that bell. That'll give you a notification for when the next video is coming out. I'm going to be doing a video in the not too distant future about how to improve your fishing, how to make yourself better at fishing. And that's going to be a longer one and a good one. So keep it tuned for that. We've got plenty more coming. Be safe out there. And as always, may God bless your fishing endeavors.